Welcome to Ag Spotlight. I'm joined today by my good friends from Stoneville Seed Company, Riley Taylor Miller, Victor Sample. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us here tonight.
Thank you.
Riley, tell us a little bit about your career with BASF and Stoneville Seed Company.
Sure. I've been selling Stoneville cotton seed for about 11 years and been with BASF since they acquired Stoneville in 2018.
Victor, you've been around with Stoneville off and on for a very long time. You're a veteran of this game. Tell us a little bit about your career with Stoneville Seed.
I started with Stoneville Pedigreed Seed Company about 30 years ago, and worked a little time with Helena Chemical, and went to Monsanto, and then Monsanto purchased Stoneville, so I started selling Stoneville again and have been ever since.
Victor, you're kind of a veteran of the seed business. You've been with Stoneville Seed off and on for many, many years. How's that cottonseed business evolved over the years?
Well, you know, at one time, Barry, you could take your seed to Kennett and get it acid delended, and you could save your seed. But as new technologies and more companies came into the business and took the universities out, then we started coming into biotech. We started having some varieties now that are herbicide tolerant, insect tolerant, and I think those have been the big game changers in the seed business.
Riley, 25 or 30 years ago, I remember doing a lot of variety trials with Don Threet.
Sure.
We had field days at the Parma Community Center. How has the sales representative, you guys are now known as the Agronomic Solutions Advisors, which I call them sales reps.
Right.
How's that evolved over the last 30 years?
Well, I can't really say over the last 30 years, as I was just a twinkle in my parents' eye probably, but I'd say that we're a lot more hands-on. We're touching many aspects of agriculture, whether it be universities, private firms, consultants, really overall the boots on the ground, and I would say an increased amount of touch points that we work with in the ag sector.
I'd have to agree with that, Barry. You remember when we started doing plots, it was just the sales rep and you putting the plots out, and now we have agronomic advisors that come out, not agronomic advisors, but agronomic technicians, technical people that come out, and they already have a selection of new varieties that are coming, and experimentalists, and they put in the trials, and they're regulated all the way south, all the way up here. So there have been a lot of more boots on the ground.
Do you feel like the sales reps evolved over the years as far as more boots on the ground versus, I know when Don Threet and I were we cooked chicken for all the farmers. We had the Cajun cookers. I mean, is it less grassroots now than it was back then?
I don't think so. I still get a lot of calls from growers, and we come out and look at you sit down and talk about their soil types and the varieties that they're looking at, and if they're wanting a variety that'll get height or a variety that's got a shorter stature or a bushier type. I mean, so I think we're still grassroots. There's a lot more to it than just going out and visiting and talking, there's more to just presenting your variety. It's placing that variety on that farmer that has that management practice for that variety or that soil type.
Well, Riley, Stoneville has a long history here in southeast Missouri and northeast Arkansas. This used to be, probably still is, one of the most dominant areas for Stoneville Seed Company.
Yes.
In Stoneville celebrating 100 years in business. That's a long time for any company to survive that long with the same name. So give us a little bit of history about Stoneville Pedigreed Seed Company.
Sure. Well, Stoneville was formed in 1922. There were 4 innovative men that were doing some of the very first cotton breeding research. And they got the idea together. They wanted to create a more pure, enhanced seed, and they formed the Stoneville Pedigreed Seed Company. Obviously, we've seen a lot of changes since 1922, had several different ownerships. Stoneville was acquired by BASF in 2018. Over the years, Stoneville has purchased more breeding facilities, new labs all the way across the United States. So we're a very different than what we looked like in 1922 and forever progressing.
100 years, Victor. A lot of things have changed over the last 100 years, but I mean, you've sold a lot of Stoneville seed in the last 30 years.
Oh, yes.
And it's a name that farmers can trust.
We're known for our emergence out of the ground, and being able to stand and deliver has been our motto. We get up to a good stand and we deliver the yield at the end of the year. They've always had some good varieties. We've had very high market share at times in the Boot Hill. When Extends came out, Stoneville didn't go with Extends, and 2 years ago we got back in the game, and we're bringing our varieties back up. We're getting on more and more growers' fields.
I just remember my grandpa and my dad, my brother started farming at Stoneville 453 and then Stoneville 474 and then 373. So the evolution's been crazy and it's been rapid.
Yes, I remember 4554 on your Uncle Bill's farm.
Yep.
One of the, you couldn't see the middles for the cotton.
Yep.
I remember that. Yep, I do remember that.
Well, Victor, that brings us to the present day. You're marketing 2 varieties in this region, and the first one is Stoneville 4990. Tell us a little bit about the agronomics of that variety and where it fits.
Well, 4990, we released it 2 years ago, and this will be the 3rd year for it. The varieties have done well on the growers' fields in the area. What you're looking at 4990, it's broadly adapted across the cotton belt, but in the boot hill, we see it more on your better ground and irrigated ground, but we're also on good, strong fertility ground. You probably wouldn't have to be irrigated. It's one that you're going to use a plant growth regulator on as not as hard as you would like a 5091, another variety we have, but it's been a high yielder. It's got a fair storm tolerance. It's an open bowl. It's easy to pick, and it has been a good one for us.
So you brought 5091 up, so let's switch gears to 5091. So 4990 is your earlier one. 5091 is kind of your workhorse, maybe just a little bit later.
It's a little later. It's more of a mid maturity, where your 4990 is early to mid. This is going to be a mid maturity variety is how we classify it. And it'll go across all soil types, but it is more of an aggressive grower. And if you put it on really good ground, you're going to have to hit it harder with your plant growth regulators to keep it down, keep it short in stature, keep the stature down on it. But it has really performed last year on dryland fields. Had several growers that liked it very well on their dryland farms and are going to come back and plant more this year. They've already contacted me. But it will go good on good ground. You just have to put, like I said, more plant growth regulator on it. If you've got a heavier field or a lighter field that you're having trouble getting height on, this would also work in those situations too. It's more broadly adapted of the 2 varieties.
But your 2 varieties, just to recap this year, is 4990 and 5091, and that's what you're selling this year, and you want the farmer to try it and
definitely.
Good results last year.
We had really good results last year. We just kind of got back into introducing our varieties last year into the boot hill that we had enough seed we could sell and get it out there, and we're going to increase sales again this year.
Really, that's a good point Victor brings up. It's kind of a comeback story of the year. Y'all had a really good season on variety trials. I mean, y'all had a lot of variety trials in the area. Well, let's discuss a few of those. You had some on my good friend Jared Keating's down at Zenith Hornersville.
Yes, we were very pleased with the results of that plot. You'll see the winner on that plot was BX 2295. That is now currently named Stoneville 4595. That one did so well across our Mid-South plots that it got sent over towards the commercial side and will be in the next year or 2 a full-blown commercial variety for us to sell. It exceeded very well in that and performed very high in that plot, followed by 5091 as well as 4990. They all were in the top 4 or 5 varieties in that trial.
I want to meet the guy at Stoneville that makes up the numbers for all these. Okay, can we get him on the show next time? Because it's very confusing too, just to keep up with all these numbers. But 4990, 5091, and our good friend Justin Ling from over at New Madrid Matthews area, he had really good success with Stoneville this past year. And I noticed you had a variety trial on our good friend Justin Ling.
Yes, we did, and the experimental number 2295 is now 4595, and it topped that test and was followed by 5091. So we've had a strict ATP trial with Justin for, I can't remember how many years we've had a trial with him, but he's been a good cooperator with us, and we've done well on his farm.
He's a big supporter of Stoneville seed, and he does a good job growing it. Victor, each year Judd Hill has a variety trial. That's one of the more famous ones that everybody hears about. That's the one a lot of farmers go by. I mean, it's really professionally done. Tell us a little bit about that trial this year.
Well, we've got an ATP trial at Judd Hill also that we do, and we perform well. 4990 for us won our ATP trial, followed by 5091. The thing is, and you look at these different trials, and you're like 1-1 here, 1-1 there. Well, you got to look at the management practice there. Sometimes varieties take more of a plant growth regulator than another, so you got to look at it's managed overall, and also Soil type is very important in placement of varieties. But we performed well there with those two varieties.
Well, Victor, it's a very exciting time at Stoneville Seed. It's kind of the comeback story of the cottonseed industry. Y'all have had a really, really good season on variety trials, but we got high prices for cotton now. What kind of advice do you have for the cotton farmer going into 2022?
I'd say get with your cottonseed rep and visit with him and make sure you place those varieties on the right soil types.
Riley, I'll give you the last word.
Okay, great. I would just say we are seeing a slight uptick on cotton acres, and I would encourage growers to have those conversations with their consultants, their retailers, reach out to your seed reps for more information and get some orders placed and get their name on some seed at this time.
Well, Riley, Victor, thank y'all for being here today. It's been an honor and a pleasure talking about cotton. It's one of my favorite subjects.